Some moments stop you dead in your tracks. Not because they're beautiful, not because they're exciting, but because they break something inside you that you didn't even know was still standing. This was one of those moments. Ethan Cole didn't have time for distractions. He never did. At 34, he'd built an empire from nothing. Cold, calculated, unstoppable. The kind of man who walked through crowds and made people step aside without saying a word. His driver was waiting. His next meeting was in 20 minutes. Everything was on schedule. Until it wasn't. He was crossing the corner of Fifth Avenue when something made him slow down. Not a sound, not a voice, just a feeling. The kind you can't explain and can't ignore. There she was, a woman sitting on the sidewalk, dirty clothes, exhausted eyes, hair falling across a face that had clearly been through things no person should ever go through. Beside her, two little girls, twins, maybe 4 years old. One of them was crying silently, rubbing her tired eyes with tiny trembling hands. Ethan's chest tightened. He told himself to keep walking. He had places to be, problems to solve, deals to close. But then she looked up, and the whole world stopped, because Ethan Cole knew that face. Even under the pain, even under the exhaustion, even after all these years, he knew her. Sophia Lane, the girl he once loved in silence, who never once looked his way. She was looking now. Ethan remembered everything, every single detail, like it happened yesterday. Back in high school, he was nobody, not the athlete, not the funny one, not the guy girls whispered about in hallways. He was just there, invisible, the kind of kid who sat in the back of the classroom, and nobody noticed when he was absent, but he noticed everything, especially her. Sophia Lane was the kind of girl who lit up every room she walked into without even trying. Warm smile, bright eyes, a laugh that somehow cut through all the noise. Every boy in school admired her, and she belonged to a world Ethan was never invited into. He never spoke to her. Not once. Not because he didn't want to, but because boys like him didn't get girls like her. That was just a rule. Unspoken. Understood. Accepted. So he watched from a distance. Quietly. Painfully. Then school ended. Life moved on. Ethan buried himself in work, in ambition, in building something the world couldn't ignore. And it worked. He became everything he wasn't back then. Powerful. Successful. Untouchable. But here was the cruel joke life had been saving for him. The girl he never forgot was now sitting on a cold sidewalk. Broken. And he was the only one who stopped. Ethan took one step forward. Then another. His heart was doing something it hadn't done in years. Racing. Sophia. He said her name softly. Almost like a question. Like he wasn't sure if this was real. She looked up slowly, and the moment her eyes found his face, something inside her shattered. He could see it happen in real time. The recognition. The shock. And then the shame. Deep, crushing, unbearable shame. She looked away instantly. Ethan. Her voice was barely a whisper. Please, just go. But Ethan wasn't looking at her anymore. He was looking at the girls. Two little faces staring up at him with wide, uncertain eyes. One of them, Mia, was shivering. Her tiny hands wrapped around her own arms trying to hold in warmth that wasn't there. Maya pressed herself against her mother's side. Silent. Exhausted in the way children should never be exhausted. Something inside Ethan snapped. I'm not going anywhere. His voice was quiet, but firm, unshakable. If then don't. Please. We're fine. He looked at her. Really looked at her. No, you're not. He pulled out his phone. Called his driver. Be here in 5 minutes. Tonight, everything was about to change. The car ride was silent. Sophia sat stiffly, staring out the window. Mia and Maya were pressed against her sides, their small heads slowly drooping with exhaustion. Outside, the city lights blurred past, bright, warm, indifferent. Ethan said nothing. He just watched her reflection in the glass. How does someone fall this far? When the gates of the mansion opened, Sophia's breath caught. The grand house stood before her. Warm lights glowing from every window, a perfectly kept garden lining the entrance. It looked like something from a dream. She felt like she had no business being here. Ethan, I can't. You can. He didn't even let her finish. Mrs. Collins met them at the door, surprised but professional. Ethan gave her quiet instructions. A room, fresh clothes, food. Now, within minutes, Mia and Maya were sitting at the kitchen table eating like they hadn't eaten in days. Because they hadn't. Sophia watched her daughters with tears she refused to let fall. Later, Ethan sat alone in his office. The mansion was quiet, but his mind wasn't. He needed answers. What happened to you, Sophia? Who did this to you? Morning came quietly. Mrs. Collins had prepared breakfast. Mia and Maya were already at the table, giggling, pointing at the fruits, acting like kids again, like the sidewalk had never happened. Sophia watched them and felt her heart break and heal at the same time. Ethan sat across from her, patient, waiting. He didn't push. He didn't demand. He just looked at her with eyes that said, "I'm not leaving until I understand." Sophia took a slow breath. And finally, she talked. After graduation, I fell for Derek Walsh. She kept her eyes down. You remember him. Everyone did. He was that guy. Popular, charming, impossible to ignore. Ethan's jaw tightened. He remembered Derek perfectly. I thought he loved me. Her voice dropped. Then I found out I was pregnant. I told him, expecting us to face it together. She paused. He was gone by the next morning. The words landed like a punch. No call, no message, nothing. Just gone. Ethan said nothing. His fists tightened under the table. I lost my job, then the apartment. My family couldn't help. She finally looked up, eyes raw and honest. So we ended up there, on that sidewalk. Ethan was furious. Not the loud kind of furious. Not the kind that flips tables and raises voices. The quiet kind. The dangerous kind. The kind that sits behind steady eyes and clenched jaw and says absolutely nothing. Because words aren't enough. He took a slow breath. You're staying here. Sophia blinked. Ethan, the girls need stability. You need rest. That's not negotiable. I can't just... And when you're ready, he slid a folder across the table. You're going to study. Finish what you never got the chance to finish. Build something for yourself. Something nobody can ever take away. Sophia stared at the folder, then back at him. This is too much. I can't accept this. It's not charity, Sophia. Then what is it? Ethan leaned forward, eyes steady, voice low. It's a second chance. And you'd be throwing away, not because you can't do it, but because you're too afraid to believe you deserve it. The words hit somewhere deep. Sophia looked at Mia and Maya, laughing in the garden through the window. Her pride said no, but her heart already knew the answer. The first week was brutal. Sophia sat at the desk Ethan had set up for her. Books open, notes scattered, pen in hand. Every page felt like climbing a wall she wasn't sure she could scale. The words blurred. The concepts confused her. Some nights she wanted to quit, but she didn't. She thought of Mia and Maya and kept going. Slowly, something shifted. The walls got shorter. The pages got clearer. Concepts that once felt impossible started clicking into place one by one. She began waking up earlier, not because she had to, because she wanted to. Ethan noticed everything. The way her confidence grew with every passing week. The way she carried herself differently now. Shoulders back, chin up. The way she smiled when she figured something out on her own. He never said much. Just quietly made sure she had everything she needed. A fresh coffee on her desk in the mornings. A simple, good work today in the evenings. Small things. But Sophia felt every single one of them. And somewhere between the late study nights and quiet dinners, something neither of them planned had started growing. Neither said a word, but both of them felt it. It started with a name. Ethan had been quietly digging for weeks. Not obsessively, just carefully. The way he handled everything in business. Methodically, patiently, until he found what he was looking for. Derek Walsh. He wasn't hard to find, just hard to face. Ethan met him alone, a quiet corner of a bar across town. Derek looked worn, older, like life had been returning every favor he never paid. You knew. Ethan's voice was ice. You knew she was pregnant, and you ran anyway. Derek didn't even flinch. I wasn't ready. She was alone, with 2 babies, on the streets. Silence. Did you ever ask about the girls? Once. Derek looked away. That was answer enough. When Ethan came home and told Sophia, he watched something shift behind her eyes. Not tears, not weakness. Something older and deeper than both. Old wounds, cracking open again. She was quiet for a long time. Then she stood up straight, shoulders back, jaw set. I need to talk to him myself. Ethan frowned. Sophia, alone, Ethan. He studied her face and understood. This wasn't about anger anymore. This was about closure. And only she could give that to herself. She waited until the girls were asleep. Then she sat at the kitchen table, phone in hand, heart steady, and dialed the number Ethan had given her. It rang twice. Hello. Derek's voice was exactly as she remembered. Flat, unbothered, like the world owed him nothing, and he owed it even less. It's Sophia. Silence. Then, what do you want? No surprise. No guilt. Nothing. She had expected that. I'm not calling to fight, Derek. I'm not calling to ask for anything either. Her voice was calm, controlled. I just needed you to hear this directly from me. Hear what? That we're fine. She paused. Better than fine, actually. The girls, Mia and Maya, they have someone now. Someone who shows up every single day. Someone who loves them without conditions, without excuses. Derek said nothing. Someone you could never be. The silence stretched long and heavy. I've moved on, Derek. Completely. And I needed you to know that the chapter with you, it's closed. Forever. She hung up before he could respond. And then, something extraordinary happened. The weight she had been carrying for 4 brutal years, silently, alone, without ever putting it down, lifted, just like that. She was finally free. The terrace was quiet, just a night sky above them. Stars scattered like someone had spilled light across the darkness. The city hummed softly in the distance. A cool breeze moved through the air. Ethan stood at the railing, Sophia beside him. Neither spoke for a long moment. Then Ethan turned to her. Can I tell you something? Sophia looked at him. Something in his tone made her heart beat slow, then quicken. Before you came here, this house was just a building. His voice was low, honest, almost careful. Big, expensive, empty. I filled it with work because I didn't know what else to fill it with. He paused. Then you walked in, you and the girls, and suddenly it felt like something. Sophia's chest tightened. You changed everything for me, Sophia, without even trying. The words hung in the cool night air between them. She wanted to look away, but she couldn't. I feel it too, Ethan. Her voice barely above a whisper. But I'm scared. I've been broken before. I can't afford to break again. He stepped closer. I'm not asking you to stop being scared. I'm asking you to let me stand next to you while you are. Her eyes glistened. Just give me time. I've got nothing but time for you. That night, everything shifted. It was the same terrace, same night sky, same city humming softly below, same cool breeze. But everything else was different. Ethan turned to face her, and Sophia immediately knew. Something in his eyes. Something she had never seen there before. Certain, unshakable, completely at peace. He reached into his pocket. A small box. Simple, elegant. Sophia. His voice was steady, but his eyes said everything words couldn't. I've spent my whole life building things. Companies, deals, empires. But none of it, not a single thing, ever felt like home. He opened the box. A delicate ring caught the moonlight. You are my home. You and Mia and Maya. Sophia's hand flew to her mouth. Will you marry me? Tears spilled freely down her face. Yes, she whispered. Then louder, yes, Ethan, yes. The wedding was everything Sophia never dared to dream about. Small, intimate, overflowing with meaning. Mia and Maya walked ahead of her. Tiny flower girls in white dresses, scattering petals with the most serious expressions their little faces could manage. The guests laughed softly. Sophia laughed through her tears. When she reached Ethan, standing at the end of that aisle with eyes that held nothing but her, every painful chapter of her life suddenly made sense. Every loss, every sidewalk, every cold, hungry night, it all led here, to this moment. To him, the mansion was never meant to feel like home. It was built for silence, for solitude, for a man who had everything the world considered valuable and nothing that actually mattered. But that was before. Now, Mia and Maya charged to the hallways every morning like tiny storms, laughing, arguing, demanding breakfast, and filling every corner of every room with noise that Ethan had spent years not knowing he was missing. He wouldn't trade it for anything. Sophia had found her rhythm too. The woman who once sat on a cold sidewalk, ashamed, exhausted, invisible, was now confident, purposeful, alive in a way that made everyone around her feel it. She was studying, growing, building, and she was happy. Then came the morning that changed everything again. Sophia sat across from Ethan at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around her coffee cup, something quiet and nervous in her eyes. "I went to the doctor yesterday." Ethan looked up. "We're having a baby." The silence lasted exactly 1 second. Then Ethan was out of his chair, arms around her, holding her like she was the most precious thing he had ever been trusted with, because she was. Months later, a baby boy arrived, healthy, strong, loud in the best possible way. Mia and Maya stood at the hospital window staring at their brother with enormous, serious eyes, then immediately started arguing over who would teach him to walk first. Ethan watched his family from the doorway. His family. The word still felt extraordinary every single time. And Sophia, the woman who once had nothing, who lost everything, who sat on a sidewalk wondering if tomorrow would be better, she looked around at her life and smiled, because it was. Some people get knocked down once and never recover. Sophia got knocked down and built a whole world from the wreckage. Now we want to hear from you. Did Sophia deserve the second chance? Or did life owe her even more? Drop your rating in the comments right now. 0 to 10. No wrong answers. And if this story hit somewhere deep, if it made you feel something real, subscribe and ring that bell. Because stories like this one, we tell them every single week. Don't miss what's coming next.